Mathematics is a useful language. In fact, it's the only useful language to describe nature, as far as we can tell. But it doesn't, we don't decide. Mathematics can describe an infinite number of universes. You can write mathematical descriptions of an infinite number of universes. Most of them aren't our universe. The way we determine if they're our universe is we go out and do experiment. Science is experimental. Without experiment, pure thought leads nowhere. If you locked a particle physicist in a room and asked her to come up with a theory of reality without any experimental observation, she'd come up with the wrong answer.
Okay, you didn't actually answer the question there. Yeah? Just to reiterate, because you didn't actually answer it. Yeah, you said deduction doesn't work.
No, I didn't.
No. Yes, you said it in the opening.
I said it doesn't have to work.
Let me just repeat the question because you didn't understand the first time, right? You said deduction doesn't work, and your book has mathematics. And what I want to ask you is,
fine, I agree with you. Next question.
Okay, what is deduction? That's my question. What is deduction? Do you even know what deduction is? Because I studied mathematics at university. I don't even think you know what it means. What is deduction?
You know what? Yeah.
What is deduction?
Let me just say, let me just say this, okay? You can make definitions of things. I can try and figure out how the universe works. I'll make progress, and you'll sit here.
Okay, thanks very much. Next question, please.
Hi, my question is to Hamza, and it's about the things he said about science and Islam. He's done a research paper on embryology within the Quran, and the idea that I'm getting is that it's sort of better to actually understand Arabic more to get more scientific ideas out of the Quran. But where is the LHC equivalent in terms of Islam?
Where's that?
What is the LHC equivalent?
LHC,
Large Hadron Collider equivalent.
Large Hadron
Okay,
Collider.
in Islam.
Yes, or genomics. I mean, wouldn't it be a better idea just to study the Quran and come out with these results?
Okay.
And when can we see those
That's a good
big
question.
results?
The first point is that essay that was written wasn't to show that the Quran gives science. If you read the essay, it basically says the Quran is very general and at most places concerning science quite ambiguous. Now in Islamic theology, these verses are what we call teleological. They're there for specific ends, just to make you think. Like frankly, only someone really silly is going to think that you're going to find quantum physics and embryology in a holy book. Because that's not the divine, that's not the will of the Creator.
And St. Augustine said for the Bible too. The Bible isn't scientific.
Yeah, but it's not a scientific book. Like Al-Shatibi, he was a theologian, and he said, look, this book, the Quran, is there to make you think about the most important questions about life. Man, life, and the universe. Who am I? Whose am I? Why am I? For whom am I? These existential questions. And
I agree with that, by the way. I think it probably is that.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
So the point I'm trying to make here from the embryology perspective is to show not that the Quran is scientific per se, but that its language is not representative of a 7th century science. That was my main point. So it's got nothing to do with the fact...
Wouldn't there be more?
Sorry?
Wouldn't there be more science in there?
No, but why should there be? My main...
No,
well, in some cases there is, but not in terms of here are the details. It's more like, the unique thing about the Quranic discourse, for example, when it talks about natural phenomena, it will present a word, for example. And that word will have a scope of meaning. And you could check this meaning out for yourself. And interestingly, it's aligned with past errors and future accuracies as well, which is very interesting. So, yeah, but I would argue that in some cases that you do see future accuracies. However, I don't believe. Let me make my point. My argument for the Quran is not a scientific one, because I believe science, as Professor Krauss admitted and really didn't answer somehow, was that the inductive method doesn't give you certainties. So we believe the Quran we can prove deductively, and it tells us to do the science, to see how things work. We may be wrong, we may be right. So it would be only erroneous to say that something that is deductive can be proven via something that's speculative or inconclusive. And this is why, I empathize with you, the current trend in our modern, what we call da'wah, propagation of Islam, is heavily reliant on science. But we have to understand what science is. That's why I wrote the essay on have we misunderstood evolution. I don't deny the science of evolution. I just go to modern academics on the philosophy of science. And there are issues, like the problem of hard or weak empiricism, the problem of induction, falsification, and so forth. So from that perspective, I think you've misunderstood the point of the paper. But I hope I elaborated.
To suggest that evolution was not as well and tested a scientific idea as gravity or quantum mechanics. We make new drugs based on it. In fact, the evidence of evolution makes evolution a fact.
Okay. I even addressed that.
Yeah, I tried to read it, and it seemed to me that you were suggesting it wasn't. But anyway, I may have misunderstood it. So I'm willing to agree that I may have misunderstood it. But that's the lesson I was getting out of it.
Okay, good. Maybe we could have a coffee after.
Okay, we're going to go to the Jazakallah khair. We go to the next question, please.
Thank you for the very emotive debate. My question is to Professor Lawrence Krauss.
Why did I guess that? Okay. No, go on. Anyway.
Firstly, let's not conflate science with atheism.
What?
Firstly, let's not conflate science with atheism, as we would all agree that science doesn't logically entail atheism. It is methodologically neutral. Therefore, my question is this. Science being a empirical method based on observation and experimentation can never answer metaphysical questions such as the existence of God. So, then it would arise, how do you, as an atheist, maintain your position? Because you said, for example, empirically speaking, we can't say God exists or does not exist. Rationally, deductive, you already ruled out. Therefore, how can you rationally justify your belief? How can you say it's common sense and nonsensical, please? Thank you very much.
It's a good question. Okay, I should clarify that. I think it's a very good question. And so, let me clarify that question. Okay, let me try to clarify this. I want to more, again, emphasize that atheism is not a belief. Okay, it's not a belief. As a scientist, I don't believe anything. As a scientist, I don't believe anything. If you use the word belief, scientists shouldn't use the word belief. There are things that are more likely and less likely. In fact, in the spirit of Hamza, science can say nothing with absolute certainty. It can say something is very, very likely or something is very, very unlikely based on the evidence of experience and testing. I can't see you, but I know you're there. Okay, and so I find it easier to talk to a person. Okay, and no, stay there. I can see you now. So the question is, what is more likely? That's all atheists are saying. And the atheists are saying, look, the first thing they're saying, I mean, people who claim they're atheists, and by the way, most scientists don't think enough about God to even know if they're atheists, because God's irrelevant. God never comes up in any scientific conference, in any discussion, anywhere. It doesn't. Because, in fact, we're just trying to figure out how the universe works. You're absolutely right also to the fact that I want to stress one more time, that science, and I may slightly differ with my friend Richard Dawkins about this, I don't think a lot, science does not require atheism. And the proof of that is empirical, since I believe empirical proof. I have several colleagues of mine who are very good scientists who aren't atheists. Therefore, since they're very good scientists and they're also not atheists, science doesn't require atheism. Now, people can hold contradictory ideas at the same time. That's one of the reasons. But science can never disprove purpose in the universe. All we can ask is, given the evidence of our observation, do I think it is more likely that there's a personal God that cares about this random planet around a random galaxy in the middle of 400 billion galaxies, in a universe in which everything we see is just 1% of the whole universe? You could get rid of us and all the galaxies and everything. The universe would be largely the same. We're a bit of cosmic pollution. It seems ridiculous to imagine, for me, based on everything I see and my common sense, to imagine the universe was created for me. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Professor. Let's go to the next question.
Hello, Mr. Krauss, and assalamu alaikum, Mr. Tzortizs, for a very good talk. I just have a question for Hamza. So you started off talking about infinity, and I mean, a lot of these arguments were sort of William Lane Craig type arguments, who, by the way, Fox News loves. Now, my question is, we've got a guy here who's written 300 books in astronomy, cosmology, whatever, and I mean, there is a lot of talk about Islam, about the Quran having scientific evidence behind it, cosmologically as well. Why didn't we ask him these questions? Why didn't we say, well, I don't know, you said that, you don't know, so why not ask him? He's there. I mean, why not? This is a forum for conversation. Why didn't we have... Well, I didn't hear one time, except for when you mentioned quantum vacuum, where he explained to you what quantum vacuum is.
Yes.
Like, other than that, I didn't hear anything. So I'm really interested as to why that conversation didn't happen in here.
Because my argument wasn't a scientific one.
But
I could do that in Starbucks or for the leftists amongst you in another coffee shop.
Just like William Lane Craig often tries to
No.
use the evidence of the Big Bang.
No, let's be attentive to my argument. It wasn't a key premise.
Yeah,
it was.
absolutely.
I even repeated.
Well, I guarantee you, I agree with you. It was not scientific at all.
Exactly. Well done. So, my point was, it was just suggestive. If you remove that argument, you still have my deductive argument that hasn't been addressed.
No, I know. What I'm saying is, then why did you use the linguistic argument? Why not this,
Because
there's so many arguments.
I don't hold the view that the scientific argument per se is strong enough to become a deductive
Right, so it has to be linguistic.
So let's make
No, there's many others. There's historical, there's numerical. I could give them to you now.
Historical is also based on evidence. Let me make this clear, because it could be a real difference, and it should just represent our fundamental differences.
Yeah, of course.
You don't believe that your beliefs should conform to the evidence of reality.
No, of course not.
Okay.
I don't.
Good.
That.
Okay,
No, but
good.
you.
Well, that's fine.
But
That's a
Krauss,
fundamental difference.
you just even agreed that science itself, which we love and we think is a mercy from the divine reality to use, that has correlated verses indicating we must use reality and be empirical. You've assumed that empiricism itself would lead to an understanding of reality, absolutely. But you agreed that's not the case.
I never said any absolutes. I've always said plausible, likely, unlikely. That's the way science works. And the whole question here is, what's more sensible? And the point is, once again, I said empirically, 1,000 religions, you're all atheists for 999 of them, I'm just an atheist for one more.
Yeah, but this is precisely my point.
Yeah.
Why would I therefore use an empirical inductive method to form beliefs that I believe are certain? That would be obnoxious of me. So what I do is, if I believe something is so certain as the existence of the divine and the miraculous nature of the Quran, I'm not going to use an inductive method which is speculative and probabilistic, which you would even agree ranges from 0 to 99%. I would have to rely heavily on what you would call other methods, epistemic routes to knowledge, such as deduction.
And are they
There's nothing,
sensible? Well,
and they are sensible.
And here's the question, as Carl Sagan would have said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And the claim that you're absolutely certain of the truth, that you personally are absolutely certain of the truth, is a remarkable claim.
No.
And the evidence you presented
was
not
straw man. I'm absolutely certain of very basic truths, and this is called epistemic foundationalism.
No, I don't have that presumption. I'm not that presumptuous.
Well, you obviously have a presumption that induction works. That's the truth in itself.
No, I don't have the presumption that I know the truth.
Let's presume there's more questions as well. Okay, let's go.
Hi, my question is for Hamza.
Oh, yes.
My question is, I just want to clear something up before I go on. Do you think that logic and science are two separate paths to truth? Because Professor Krauss here is taking the scientific approach, you've been taking the logic approach. Do you believe they're mutually exclusive, that you can have a logical...
No, of course not, because you can have a deductive argument that its premises rest on induction. So that's fine. And an inductive argument, by definition, is empirical by nature. But the point I'm trying to say is, there is a difference between induction and deduction. That is a clear distinction.
Well, sure.
Exactly. So the point is, if we do have a valid and sound deductive argument,